Friends, this is Praveen, and I welcome you all in the third part of the crop production and management. In the first and second part, we have learned about the what is the crop production and management, crop plants. We learned about the different types of the crop methods. Then we learned about in the part one, we learned about the preparation of soil, seed selection and sowing, nutrient management, management, weeding, and crop protection. And if you have not watched these videos, I recommend you to watch it first. So let's get started with our today's part. So today we are going to first cover about the harvesting. Once the crop is harvested, is it busy job to harvest the crop? But is it not a easy job like that way? The crop should be harvested at a particular time and at a specific time, because if the crop is harvested too early, the seeds or the required part is not mature properly, and if it is harvested too late, the crop became rotten. So it should be harvested at a proper time. Harvest it can be done with using a sickle. Sickle is a round structure like that, which is made from the iron, which has a sharp edge, which is uh, worked with a hand with a by the people. So this is a manual process, and this is useful when there is a small area. So when we have a large area, we use the machines such as combine thresher, or we called it as a combine harvester. Combine harvester performs all these operations, that is harvesting, threshing, winnowing, in a single operation. We simply called it the combine. So what is actually is the harvesting? The harvesting is the process of cutting down the crops. As we learn about there are two types of crops, kharif and rabi crops. They have their both different seasons. So the kharif crop is harvested in October, and the rabi crop is harvested in April. So these two are the harvested seasons in India. And uh, these particular some there are particular days in which we celebrate our joy of harvesting the crops. This is called the harvesting festivals. Examples of the harvesting festivals are Pongal, Onam, Besaki, etc. So after the crop has been harvested, we have left with a whole the stalk and the grain part. For example, we are taking about a wheat, in which wheat we are left with the grains and the stalk. So what we have to do is remove the stalks and the grains. So how we can do with it? So we know that they are attached with a very small little link. So just like in a chain, when we stretch it, it would break with the weakest point. So the weakest point is here. So the people started to beat it on a hard rock, or sometimes they use the bullocks or the animals to walk on the crops. So this makes the grain attached to the stalks from with the weakest link is disconnected with that. So then we are left with the stalk and the grains. So what the people do with the remaining stock? Stock is not useful for us. So what they do is to burn it, but burning it causes a lots of air pollution. So government has been requesting the people to use it as a fodder, or even some main purposes, not waste like a burning. So we are left with a now a seed. A seed has an outer covering, and the removal of the outer covering is called hulling. Hulling is the removal of the outer covering, for example, fruits, seeds, and vegetables. So removing of the outer covering is called hulling. Then we remain with the hull and the chaff and the seeds. So how we can separate them? The hull and the chaff are the lighter than the seed part. So what we do is the process called winnowing. So what is the winnowing? That we drop the seeds from a higher level, and what would happen when they would fall? The heavier seeds, which are heavier, would fall almost vertically, but the lighter materials such as chaff and hull will fall but diagonally. So what would happen, will collect it a heap in a side, and the grains in a side. So this we have separated. After we have obtained the seed, what we do, we need the flour. The process of converting the or grinding the wheat or the seed into the flour is called the milling. The process of milling is mostly done in the factories. So we have covered this. So what are the equipments for the first harvesters? Harvesting, as I mentioned you, it was the sickle, combine harvester, and for the threshing, it's the thresher. For hulling, it's a huller machine, and then we know about the winnowing. There we can do it simply by manually raising its platform and making the air go in that direction, and uh, letting the mixture of the hulls, chaff and the seed fall slowly down. Or there is a special machine comes to remove these hulls and chaff, which is called the winnowing machine. And for the hulling, then we learn milling. Milling is generally done in the factories. They have a large machine, or they are used to grind these seeds, and we get a flour. After this has been done, now our crop is harvested full. Now we have to store it. Storing of the crop is a important thing. Just we talk about in the seed selection and sowing. If they are not harvested properly, what would happen? Rodents would eat up and causes a hole in the seeds. These holes would cause the air to flow them. So during the process of germination, they would not get enough nutrients, and they would not grow properly, or not grow even at all. So these should be harvested in a proper place. So what for the smaller areas we use the granny bags. What are the granny bags? Granny bags are the bags which are made up of the jutes. So we put all the crops in a granny bag and pack it up. And there is a special method, special technique to uh, protect the crop. If it is if it is near the walls, then the rodent can eat up easily. So what they do is the raise the platform and keep it aside. So the grain bag should be put at least 25 centimeters from the wall, 15 centimeters from the below, and about 20 centimeters from the top. So after that we have, for the larger areas, larger storage of the crops, we get the seals and the granaries. What are these? Are the large um, places where the seeds are stored. First, seals. What are these seals? Seals are the big metal containers in which the crop of the particular some amount of 10 to 50 peoples has been stored in a single crop. Harvested by 10 to 50 peoples are harvested at the same time. It contains a large container made up of the irons and metals. So what would happen? They uses a simple technique called dry storage. Here the air is dry and they are stored at a room temperature. So this process of storing this at a room temperature and a dry air is called dry storage. And if the air is not dry, that means it has a humidity. So what would happen? The bacteria and that would also grow. This causes the rotation of the crops which has been stored. So this is an important way. Some people also use the cold things for the storage. This is called the cold storage, because the if we keep the vegetables in the refrigerator, it do not dry. If we keep it out, it get rot. So it is an important way of that. And after that, we have the granaries. Granaries are the large godowns where the grains are stored in a large amount. This is usually built by the governments to increase or keep the large storage of the crops at a single place. So there, the from where the government gave the seeds for the growing for the to the farmers for growing more crops, and sometimes to the consumers to consume that. And what happens that if this storage is done up to the last or the next harvest. Why? If the next harvest crop is failed, so we can use the before the crop which has been harvested the year before. So this way of storing the crop to the next harvest is called the buffer stock. Now we have harvested the crop, stored the crops, but some of these are traditional methods to put up some vegetable oils or vegetables in the grains so that it is not eaten by the rodents. There are many traditional methods to preserve the crops, just like to preserve the curd we keep in the refrigerator, and the milk in the refrigerator, like that way. Now we commonly associate the agriculture with only the food crop production only, but there are major three types of the parts of the agriculture, which is agronomy, which is the study and the crop production. Second is horticulture. What is the horticulture? The horticulture is the cultivation of the ornamental plants and fruits. So what are ornamental plants? Ornaments means to decorate, and plants, so what decorates a plant? It's a flower, so they are the cultivation of the flowers that we learn about. They are cultivated in the Zayat season, which is from the March to April. Then the third is animal husbandry. What is an animal husbandry? Animal husbandry is the rearing and domestication of the animals. So let's move to the table to learn about the more the animal, how the animals are stored and what for what purposes the animals are stored. So here we are writing the names of the animal husbandry. So here are the names of animal husbandry. Here we are which kinds of the animals are rare, and here we are the types of product which we obtain from. So first is the poultry farming. That is poultry farming, in which we simply takes includes the hen, geese, and ducks. So from which we obtain the eggs and meat. So it is reared for the egg and meat. And the second type of the animal husbandry is the rearing. Rearing, in which sheep, goat, and silkworm is reared. So there is a special type of the animal husbandry for the silkworm. This is called sericulture, and they are harvested from for the sheep and goat is harvested for the milk, meat, wool, and the silkworm is harvested for the silk. Now third on our list is the dairy farming. Dairy farming. The word says the dairy. Dairy means that we have to do with the milk part. So it includes cow, buffalo, goat, yak, and it is harvested for the milk, curd, butter, and cheese. That and that all inputs that is obtained from the dairy. So fourth on our list is the aquaculture. From the word aqua means that is it is related to the water. So in which the fishes are harvested and the fishes are stored. They are stored for the meat and the fish liver oil. This fish liver oil is the main source of the proteins and fats. Now fifth is the piggery, in which the pigs are harvested, as suggested from the word in which pigs are harvested. They are harvested for the meat and lard. And the sixth type of the animal husbandry is the apiculture. Apiculture, in which the bees are harvested, honeybee, in which honeybees are harvested, and from which we obtain the honey. We all only obtain the honey from the honeybees, but we also obtain the wax from the honeybees. So we have completed the animal husbandry. Now let's move to the green revolution. Green revolution in India was started in 1960s and were up to the 1980s. This time period is also called the golden era of the Indian agriculture. This was first studied by M.S. Swaminathan, in which the crop yields were increased the several folds. So, in which the use of the fertilizers were the farmers were encouraged to use the use of fertilizers, pesticides, and the labor saving machines, which are also the time saving machines. So, what are the undesirables of the green revolution? This creates an excess use of the fertilizers and the pesticides, which creates a water pollution because that can be easily absorbed by the waters, and they makes the water too acidic. So the fishes and the marine aquatic lives get the damage with them. So this causes the very huge loss of the aquatic fishes and aquatic lives. And the another use is that the agriculture has improved, but the crop then also do not yield that so much because the peoples are continuously depending on the chemicals. So what would happen simultaneously, the crop is growing also, and with the excess use of these, the crop folds is also decreasing. So these are the disadvantages or the undesirable effects of then a green revolution in India. Now, as I told you that nutrition, that is nutrition that is eaten up taken up by the plants. So we know that 78% there is a fixed amount of the nutrition available to us. So how they remain the fixed percentage or the fixed amount of nutrition to us? Even the plants use it for their processes. So we are going to learn about this. The main element which the plants are used is the nitrogen. So we are going to learn about the nitrogen cycle, in which it would include the nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen is one of the most important nutrients required by the plant's nutrition. Even though it is found in the abundant in the atmosphere, plants cannot use it in original form. So even the nutrition is abundant, that is 78% of the nitrogen in air, but the plants could not use directly from the atmosphere. So what they have to convert into the soluble forms. So as I told you, we have to convert into the soluble forms, but how does the plant convert it? This is not only the plants converted, this is the cycle of the whole the nature and the environment. So what will happen here is an cloud, and here we have nitrogen in the atmospheric form or the air form, that is N2, in which lightning converts some of the atmospheric nitrogen into the nitrogen oxides. These dissolve in rain, forming the nitrates. These forms the nitrates. So with the help of a lightning, so what they convert, there is a sudden expansion and sudden contraction here, which produces these huge sounds, which we call as the thunderstorms. So with the rain, this nitrogen is converted and soluble in the water. So this is here the rain has been done, so here it is soluble in water. So and nitrogen is now in the water. Nitrogen fixing bacteria in the soil, and the roots of the nodules produce the ammonia. So here it water seeps it is taken by the plants and animals. So it has a just like here is a tree, and it has absorbed this nitrogen that is in the soluble form. So what these the plants have the nodules in which the some bacteria called rhizobiums are stored, which convert the this nitrogen, that is soluble form of nitrogen, into ammonia, which formula is NH3. So other soil bacteria convert this ammonia into nitrates, which is used by the plants. So another bacteria which live in the water or the nearby surfaces also convert the nitrates. So they convert this ammonia again into the nitrates. So it converts into the nitrates for the plants to use it. So now the plants would use this. So now the plants would use it, and when the plant and the animal die, or this plant would be eaten up by the animal, and when the plant and the animal die, their remains get decomposed and the nitrogen compounds are returned to the soil. So they are returned to the soil, but how then it would be returned to the air? So now the plant or animal die, or by their defecation, these nitrates have returned to the again to the soil, again return to the soil. So how would they again return to the atmosphere? The defeating or defeatrifying bacteria in the soil and the water acts as a nitrogen compound, and they release the nitrogen into the atmosphere. So there are another bacteria, few sets of bacteria which convert this nitrates which has been used into the again into the N2 form, which is the water in the nitrogen form in the air. So let's summarize. The atmospheric nitrogen is converted into the useful form, and this form is called the nitrogen fixation. In nature, nitrogen fixation helps due to the lightning, the nitrogen fixing bacteria, and the blue algae. They convert these are near blue green algae, which is the blue green algae. And these are also called the rhizobium, as I told you. Living in the structures, they are living in the structures of the root of the plants. The soil is the contains the good bacteria which convert the atmospheric nitrogen into the soluble forms. So they convert into the soluble forms, and this the plant nodules convert into the ammonia, and ammonia is then converted by the bacteria into the nitrates, and nitrates is then used up by the plants and animals, and then they are after they are dying, they returns to the soil, and the soil contains the bacteria, and it converts back into the nitrogen which is in the air. So let's see the mind map to summarize whole these three parts. So let's summarize all the three parts. So what we have learned today, so through the concept map. So first there is an agriculture here. Agriculture. So there is an agriculture. It is divided into three parts. What is the agriculture? Agriculture is the growing the plants and animals for the human use. This contains then agronomy, horticulture, and the animal husbandry, in which agronomy, the study and the development of the techniques for improving the agriculture practices, is called an agronomy. The horticulture is the cultivation of the fruit, vegetable, and the ornamental plants, and the animal husbandry is the rearing and the management of the domesticated animals. So the agriculture is also divided into crop production and management management. So this manage crop production. There are the two types of crops we learn about, which is the Kharif season and the Rabi crop. Kharif crop and the Rabi crop. So these are the Kharif crop is cultivated in the monsoon season, and the Rabi crop is cultivated in the winter season. They are the Kharif seasons is cultivated in the month of the uh, June and July and harvested in the October to November, and these are cultivated in November and harvested in March. And there we learn more about the Zayed crop. Zayed crop is cultivated season is from the March and to the April. So now the crop management. Then we have the methods. First method is the preparation preparation of soil. So this is the preparation of the soil. This is divided into two parts, which is plowing and the leveling. So plowing, the process of loosening and turning the soil for the better percolation and the water, is called the plowing, and the leveling is the we left with some clumps of the soil to evaluate. The process of leveling of the soil to reduce the soil erosion is called the leveling. Then the another second process of the crop production management is sowing. Sowing seeds. Sowing seeds. It's divided into the three parts that we learned about. We learned about first the manual parts. The manual part is called the broadcasting. Broadcasting. Then we learn about the drill sowing. The drill sowing, and we learn about the transplantation. So in the broadcasting, the seeds are scattered in the field manually by hands. In the seed drill, the spread of the seeds with the seed drill having the funnel attached to a plow. And we learn about the seedlings which are sown in the nurseries and transferred to the fields. These are called transplantation. Now, the third step of the crop production and management is the manuring. In some books, this manuring is given before the prepare before the seed sowing, and some in the after. This is because they refer to the different things. Some refers to the manures and some refers to the fertilizers. Fertilizers are usually manures usually given after when the crop is grown, but fertilizers are given when we start to prepare the soil. After the preparation of soil, the manures are done. So we learned about the two different methods of that, which is natural, and we learned about the another is fertilizers and manures. Natural methods include four types. These are field furrow, then crop rotation, mixed cropping, then we learn about the intercropping. After this, the method was the this method was irrigation. The method of the irrigation, in which there are also divided into two parts, which is one is uh, traditional method. One is the traditional and one is modern. In which the traditional methods, it contains mainly four types. This is moat, rahat, chain pump, and the dhakli. And in the modern there are it is divided into two, which is one is the sprinkler system, and the another is the drip irrigation. And there are two types of the. Then after this there is the crop protection. Crop protection is the protection of the crops. It has the two parts, which is protection from the unwanted plants and the animals. So one is the weeding, and the another is pest control. The weeding is the removal of the unwanted plants grown along with the crop, and the which is pest control is the killing of the living organisms, which include fungi, insect, rats, etc. That can destroy the crops by then destroy the crops. So we use the pesticides to get rid of them. Then after we have protect the crop, it's time for the harvesting of the crop. Harvesting, here we have divided into the four. After the harvesting, it is divided into the threshing. The threshing is the separation of the grains from the stalks. Then we learn about the winnowing, which is the separation of the chaff and the grains. We learn about the hulling, that is the removal of the covering of the fruits, vegetables, or the grains. And then we learn about the milling, that is the process of converting the uh, seeds into the flour. And the last we learned about the storage. Storage we learn about, that is the storing of the grains for consumption till the next harvest. This is that. And we also learned about the green revolution in India and the nitrogen cycle and fixation. Friends, I hope that you like this video and you enjoy learning with me. At the last, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.